Your mind doesn't follow reality. Reality follows your mind. But most people keep recreating the same life because they make their assumptions based on circumstances, or based on their past experiences, or based on what they've already lived, or based on what makes sense, or the dreaded logic thing, instead of creating their assumptions on the only thing they should be based on. In this video, I'm going to show you how to stop letting current circumstances, logic, or your past decide what's possible for you, and how to train your mind to think in a way that makes your desire the only reality. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll not be making this dreaded mistake anymore. If you're new here, hello, I am your Muse Traci. On this channel, I teach manifestation the Neville Goddard way. I help you peel back the false layers of programming and conditioning so you can return to the identity that creates from true empowerment, not logic, and definitely not from the limitations of your circumstances. Let's just call it what it is. You're not struggling because your desires are too big, or because you need more discipline, or because the universe is testing you. You're struggling because you're thinking from the identity built by your past, and on logic, and on what other people have told you is possible for you. Which, where's the power in any of that? Just stop and think about that for a moment. Is there any power in any of that? I'm sure you'll arrive to the correct answer of no, there's no power in any of that. So you create from all of that, instead of from the identity that is already aligned with your desire. Your mind is a pattern matching machine, and I might add, a slave to bad habits. I had a teacher who used to use that phrase, and totally different subject, but it's true as a human condition. Your mind looks at what happened before and says, okay, this is what's possible because I saw that happen before. This is who we are based on who we've been. This is what we should expect based on what we've seen. It uses old data to predict your future. Ugh. Again, no thank you. This is the problem. Exactly the problem. If you want to create something new, your past is not evidence of what you can have. Your past is only evidence of what you previously assumed. That's it, period, full stop. If you keep thinking from the old identity or creation, you keep recreating the same old life day in and day out. Neville taught something that shockingly most people miss. Your assumption, not logic, not effort, is what creates your reality. And assumptions do not come from your past. Where do they come from then? They simply come from your choice, your desire. That's it. From what you now prefer to experience. Logic says, be realistic. Your desire says, here's what I now choose. Logic says, look at the facts. Your desire says the only fact is what or who you now decide to be. Logic keeps you stuck where choice and desire set you free. This is why you can visualize all day and still not see any results. It's because you don't truly know the power of your assumptions. So then you're doing it from the wrong state to begin with. If your state is still anchored in and identified in the past, you will struggle to create something new, anything new, because you don't know, as I just said, the power of your assumptions. Here's how you can sabotage yourself without even realizing it. You assume it'll take time. You assume this always happens to me. You assume this is just how people are. You assume this is just who I am. You assume I don't get chosen. You assume money is difficult and hard to get. You assume my SP is stubborn and difficult. You assume things always fall apart, and so on and so on. I could go on and on. None of these assumptions came from your desire, though, I'm guessing, did they? They came from your history, and maybe your conditioning, and maybe your programming. And as long as you think from your history, your mind will keep creating more of what? Your history. Your mind isn't fighting you. It's just being used unconsciously to create what's coming next for you. So here's how you want to train your mind to think so that you can achieve anything. Stop thinking from who you were and what has been. Stop using logic and what has been to figure out where you can go. Start thinking from who you now choose to be. Let the desire create your assumption, because your assumptions create reality. And if you want to create your desired reality, you have to assume your desired reality. And you don't need any evidence or proof to choose any assumption you desire. Remember, the evidence follows your assumption. It will not precede. So before you have any proof, is what I'm saying here. You choose the assumption that you prefer to experience before you have any proof, any evidence. Your desire itself is the evidence. When you start to convince yourself to think like this, your mind becomes unstoppable. You literally unshackle yourself from the past and from being, realistic and logical and from what has been. When you think from your desire instead of from your memory or of your self-imposed limitations, you become unlimited. It makes total sense, doesn't it? This looks like you feeling free to choose right now. Again, before there's any evidence, you get to choose. I am wanted. I am successful. I am chosen. I am wealthy. I am safe. I am powerful. I am supported, not because you see in the 3D the evidence of these things, but because you're allowing your desires to be the blueprint rather than your past or your unconscious programming to be the blueprint. This is the kind of thinking that collapses timelines. Logic is not neutral. I would add, not helpful. Logic is always based on your past, what you've seen or heard before, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the extent of logic. Logic reinforces limits, fear, delay, old evidence, old identity, old assumption. Logic says, show me proof, where your desire says, I am the proof. Logic says, wait and see. Your desire says, I'll show you. Logic says, you've never done this before. And your desire says, exactly, because we are creating something new. Logic is a prison. Assumptions are the doorway to freedom and empowerment. Here's the actual 3-step method to help you with this. It's simple, but it is profound. Step number 1, stop referencing the past. Every time you say, this always happens, this is just who I am, this is how people are, you're hypnotizing your mind into recreating more of all of that. Set yourself free of what has been. No one is standing over you, insisting that you keep recreating it. You're doing that. So let's stop doing that, shall we? Step number 2, base your assumptions on one thing only, your desire. Ask yourself, what would I prefer to assume? Then assume that, even if it makes no logical sense, because logic belongs to the old and you're setting yourself free from the old. Right? Step number 3, think from the end, not about the end. Thinking about your desire says it's still far away, it's over there, and I'm still over here without it. Thinking from your desire says it's done, it's already mine, it's already my experience. You claim it now. This is Neville's entire philosophy. Creation is finished. You're simply selecting the version of reality you now choose to experience out of all the infinite possibilities. And your selection, your assumption, brings it into being. It brings the evidence into the visible. When you convince your mind to think from your desire, here are some common things that start to happen. Effortlessly, your SP starts behaving differently because you made a new assumption. Aligned opportunities appear very quickly because you made a new assumption. Money comes through unexpected avenues because you made a new assumption. You stop feeling triggered by the 3D because you made a new assumption. Manifestations come faster because your resistance is dissolved. You're no longer tied to what has been. You stop feeling like you're trying to manifest, and you remember you're just making decisions, you're just making choices. And this all happens effortlessly. This is exactly the work I do with my one-on-one clients in my coaching program, because manifesting was never meant to be a struggle. You are manifesting all the time effortlessly. You're just doing it unconsciously. So you just want to take it and make it conscious. You have all the power. If you don't know that, you're stuck in an illusion where you think the power is outside of you when it never actually has been. In my coaching program, I help you peel back the false layers and return to your effortless manifestation, effortless conscious manifestation, so that you can create your life on purpose and according to your desire not according to your past or definitely not logic. The moment your assumptions change, your 3D follows because it's always following you. Always. Your mind becomes a magnet, your identity becomes the cause, your desires become inevitable. Certainty is what convinces the mind, not evidence, not logic, not reason. It's certainty. Certainty is the natural language of the identity you desire. When you think as the version of you who already has it, your mind stops arguing with you. And when your mind stops arguing, your reality stops delaying and resisting. You can achieve anything when your thoughts are aligned with the assumptions you've chosen, not the identity you inherited or experienced in your past. So, if you're ready to stop letting your past dictate what's possible and start thinking from the identity where your desires are already yours, this is exactly the work we do inside my coaching program. We dispel the logic, reprogram your identity, and reconnect you to the assumptions that make your desires inevitable. You can find the link in the description. The link will take you to my website where you can read all about the coaching program. There's also a link in the pinned comment if you want to take the opportunity to book a free consultation with me. If you have any questions about working with me or about the program, you can book that call right now. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.